Today's video is going to be off the cuff, only because there have been things going on in the world that really bother me, and I think that writing things down and then reading off of my computer behind the camera just wouldn't cut it. So this is all going to be off the cuff, and for those people who actually know me, very similar to how I usually kind of rant about things. So, the Boko Haram are a group of Islamic idiots, Muslims, sorry. They're Islamic Muslims, they're militants, they're assholes, they are individuals, they are throwbacks to an ancient time that I don't think ever really showed up in the Muslim community. Alright, let's go back in time about 800 years. Alright, the 1200s, the Catholic Church is pretty much ruining Europe at the time. And that's just, thank you. They're burning books, they're destroying manuscripts, and generally making life hell for anybody who actually wants to learn something. Alright, any works done by Aristotle, Plato, or Socrates, you can't learn those things because it promotes an idea and a knowledge base that isn't based on the Bible. Alright, during the same time when the Catholic Church is doing all of this, Islamic Muslims in Egypt and Spain and various other parts of the Middle East are taking these same documents and holding them and learning from them. And for a very long time, the Muslims had the greatest store of knowledge that could have been found in the world. What baffles me is fundamentalism, which I'll get into the similarities between fundamentalism and nationalism a little bit later. But fundamentalism, it is a throwback to an ancient time that promotes ignorance. And it baffles me why someone would choose ignorance over an education, over being educated and making a knowledgeable and educated, God, I gotta stop using the word educated, but it's just the only word I can think of right now that fits. Just an educated decision about what you want to do with yourself. Following the Quran is great if you're doing that in a spiritual way. Following the Bible is great if you're doing that in a spiritual way. But to use the Bible or the Quran to dictate how you live your life, a civilized, excuse me, a civilized life, just it can't work. Both, good Lord, I've got gas today. Both books were written in an ancient time in a more, and I really hate to use it, but a more barbaric time. The Bible, the Old Testament specifically, and the Quran has got large portions of the Old Testament. Part of it's given it different book names, but it generally reads almost word for word exactly the same. I've read both books. But the laws that were created at the time were created to help control people because, well, really for a really long time the only code of laws was whatever either might makes right, or you got Hammurabi's law, which is kind of what the Old Testament is. It doesn't work in modern civilization when you've got the Magna Carta, you've got the U.S. Constitution, you've got the parliamentary rule and law of Great Britain, and a lot of nations are adopting that now. And it really baffles me that why would you take several steps forward and then step back into an ancient and barbaric time? I mean, shit, the Vikings had a more stable society than what the Boko Haram or any of these other terrorist Islamic militant organizations are trying to build. It's just not going to work. And if I keep going, I'm just going to start repeating myself. So, peace out, everybody.